What if I told you there's a fast food chain so popular that police are sometimes called just to control the crowds? A place where people stand in line for hours, sometimes under the scorching sun, just to get a single box of fried chicken. This isn't marketing hype. This is Baik, one of the most iconic fast food brands in the Middle East, and arguably Saudi Arabia's most beloved restaurant chain. But how did a small fried chicken shop turn into a cultural phenomenon? Why do pilgrims consider eating there part of their journey? And could this regional giant one day compete globally with brands like KFC? The story begins in 1928 with Shakur Abu Ghazala, born in Ramla, Palestine. In 1948, during the Nakba, he was displaced along with more than 750,000 Palestinians. At just 20 years old, he moved to Saudi Arabia in search of stability. In 1949, he began working for Saudi Aramco, where he spent 15 years building a new life and eventually obtained Saudi citizenship. In 1963, hoping to create better opportunities for his family, he relocated to Lebanon and explored various business ventures. By 1965, he had managed to save some money, but everything was wiped out when the bank holding his savings went bankrupt. Years of hard work disappeared overnight. Most people would have given up. Shakur didn't. He returned to Saudi Arabia with a new idea. He noticed that fast food was still relatively uncommon in the country. With the support of his wife, he decided to take a major risk. In 1974, he invested all his savings, partnered with a French company for specialized equipment and a unique spice blend, and converted an old warehouse on Airport Road in Jeddah into Saudi Arabia's first brasted chicken restaurant. It was a bold move, and it started to work. But just 2 years later, in 1976, shortly after opening a second branch, Shakur passed away at the age of 48. The future of the business now rested on the shoulders of his two young sons, Ihsan Abu Ghazala and Rami Abu Ghazala. Ihsan had just graduated in civil engineering from King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, and had promising career prospects, including an opportunity in professional basketball. Rami was studying civil engineering at Tennessee Tech University in the United States. Instead of pursuing their own ambitions, they chose to return to Jeddah to save their father's dream. What they came back to was a struggling company. The business had lost its agency rights and was burdened with $1.8 million in bank debt. To survive, they had to sell assets and restructure. At just 22 and 20 years old, they ran every aspect of the operation themselves, managing staff, cooking, serving customers, and even cleaning. But survival wasn't enough. Competition was rising fast. By the early 1980s, nearly 400 fast food restaurants were operating in Jeddah. Copycat businesses began imitating their branding and menu. The brothers took legal action to protect their trademark, but they also understood that real success would come from improving the product. Determined to elevate quality, Ihsan traveled to Paris to study food technology. When he returned in 1984, he developed what would become Baik's legendary recipe, an 18-urban spice blend that remains a closely guarded secret. For 3 years, the brothers personally prepared the spice mix at a confidential location before delivering it to their central kitchen. In 1986, they officially rebranded the company as Baik, a name derived from Turkish meaning the important one. Over time, that name proved accurate. A major breakthrough came when the Saudi government requested that Baik operate seasonal restaurants in Mina during Hajj. This opportunity connected the brand directly to millions of pilgrims. One seasonal branch became one of the busiest fast food outlets in the world, serving up to 250,000 meals per day during peak pilgrimage. The company later expanded into Medina, further strengthening its bond with religious travelers. For many pilgrims, eating at Baik became a tradition, an experience associated with completing their spiritual journey. This emotional connection transformed the brand from a restaurant into a cultural symbol. The popularity became so intense that before Al Baik expanded nationwide, people in Riyadh would drive nearly 9 hours to Jeddah, load their car trunks with chicken, and resell it at higher prices. Its reputation spread beyond Saudi borders. In countries like Indonesia and Pakistan, returning pilgrims shared stories of the famous fried chicken, and some customers were willing to pay premium prices for boxes brought back from Saudi Arabia. Al Baik's success wasn't built on taste alone. The company donates 1 riyal from every meal sold to charity, continuing a tradition started by its founder. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it distributed 10,000 meals per day to people in need during lockdowns across Saudi Arabia. This commitment to social responsibility strengthened its image and deepened customer loyalty. For decades, Al Baik remained concentrated in Saudi Arabia's western region, but recently, it began expanding both nationally and internationally. In 2020, it opened its first international branch in Bahrain. In 2021, it entered the UAE market with a location at Dubai Mall. During the 2022 FIFA World Cup, it launched mobile restaurants in Qatar, introducing a global audience to its signature chicken. Within Saudi Arabia, expansion into Riyadh and the eastern province triggered massive crowds at new store openings. Today, Al Baik dominates the Middle Eastern fast food landscape and continues to grow. Its journey mirrors the early trajectory of KFC, staying true to its roots while gradually entering new markets. The question now isn't whether Al Baik is successful. It clearly is. The real question is whether this Middle Eastern icon will eventually expand into Western markets, and if it does, whether the world is ready for it.